20 years. And I have never seen anything that even approaches what is happening with the border effectively being gone. And you've seen senior Border Patrol people. We've played the clips. We've had them on the show. The head of the Border Patrol Union, the former head, the deputy head, the head of one of the big retiree groups, other senior current members. They've had gag orders saying, we complete the smuggling process. This is an end of the border. This is by fiat legalization. Now Obama's basically stopped deportations. Now they're legalizing felons, letting them go. The kids are the front. The kids are the PR front to make us feel sad and bad. Just like in pro-open border movies like Elysium, it's all about the kids. They know Americans have big hearts. No country has borders this open. No country has welfare like this. You can't go to any country and have your baby and have it all paid for like here. But we're told we're the worst all day. And MSNBC with the White House talking point says you're racist if you don't want totally open borders. It's not like we border Switzerland or Japan, first world wealthy countries. We border one of the most dangerous countries in the world only after Guatemala. It's arguably more dangerous. 130,000 dead in 7 years we know about. Failed states, State Department warnings, do not travel anywhere in Mexico. 5 years running, you never see that in the news. I went to Mexico 4 years ago. Southern Mexico, in a resort area, they had troops pulling over the tour bus with guns, stealing the money off the bus driver and bugging their eyes out at the passengers, the Army. Mexico is a failed hell. My uncle was down there doing work. My cousin was born there. He saw cars shot off the road. His brother was kidnapped. They were at the market. A hand grenade went off and actually hit some of his family, and they left Guatemala. Okay, this isn't a game. 35 million people in Mexico City. Half of them live in cardboard boxes. And I feel for them, but we can't help them with a bankrupt country with them being signed up for socialism. This is the end game. This is asymmetrical warfare. And Zach Taylor did the best breakdown of it I've seen, and for the rest of the hour, he'll ride shotgun with us, with Chris Burgard, the award-winning documentary filmmaker of Border. He's now making the new documentary, 9 years of work, back to theborder.com. And we've already played the clip of Zach Taylor warning of our government standing down for the asymmetrical warfare. And his last film had a really big effect and helped expose the fact that it was premeditated, the collapse of the border, and hopefully this new one will do that. But we're joined by Zach Taylor, who heads up the NAFBPO.org. He's the chairman and border security expert of the National Association of Former Border Patrol Officers, and he's a retired senior Border Patrol agent supervisor of 26 years. And he's produced with his experts the Comprehensive Immigration Enforcement and Reform and delivered it to Congress. And it contains the real conclusions and recommendations developed over several millennia of experience in all factions of immigration enforcement and services. So worldwide historical knowledge. The bigger issue here is it shows this whole Homeland Security thing's a fraud, pointed at the Tea Party, arresting people because their 10-year-old went and played in the park, checkpoints on highways randomly for no reason but to train us to be slaves. The TSA lets the illegals through. That's confirmed. I've witnessed it, but it's confirmed. This is so creepy and so epic. So, Zach Taylor, we salute your patriotism, your tireless work to warn people. But this really shakes me to my core, because I know we've always had corrupt people in government at certain levels, but this is beyond believable. It's happening. It's surreal. It's the takedown of the country. Zach Taylor, I want you to break down asymmetrical warfare, what we're facing, and then go past asymmetrical warfare, because you know in your video you didn't get to that part. What's behind it? Because I know you've really got a handle on this with yourself and your experts and your connections inside Homeland Security. What's the big end game? Because from my perspective, this is only the detonator to bring in waves that dwarf what we've already seen, collapse the Western states, bringing in federalization. This could be the crisis Obama uses to bring in an executive dictatorship, which he's now basically already operating under. Mr. Taylor.
Well, if you'll go to The Art of War by Sun Tzu, talking about attack by stratagem, he says, in the practical art of war, the best thing of all is to take the enemy's country whole and intact. To shatter and destroy it is not good. It is better to recapture an army entire than to destroy it, to capture a regiment, a detachment, or a company entire than to destroy it. And supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. So what the enemy is doing is they're looking at the weaknesses in America. The weakness is in our immigration laws being not enforced, and some of the provisions of the immigration law, such as the Refugee Assistance Program, that does not have the necessary safeguards on it. This is why the President of the United States keeps trying to designate these people that are coming in this Central American surge as refugees, but they don't come under the definition of refugees. Plainly, this is a foreign invasion. It is nothing else, but it is a contrived invasion by this administration, and we've seen this building for several years. We know that starting 18 months prior to April of 2014, they were screening these Central Americans that were increasingly coming into the United States in California. This is where the screening took place. And they found that 90% of these were ages of approximately 13, 14 to 18, single males, working age, and they were coming here to get amnesty that Obama had promised them in the prospective date of August of 2014. None of them were claiming to be fleeing violence or oppression or poverty. The same thing was found in the captive group that was interviewed in South Texas in the interim between May and the middle of July of this year. So the claim by the administration that these people are eligible for refugee status is false.
And, of course, the UN has been saying they're refugees, and we've confirmed that there are UN advisors basically giving Obama, he believes, the legal cover for this treason.
Well, also the consul generals of the three countries involved have said that the reason for the mass migration is misinformation delivered to their people in the home country. Well, that misinformation is that the president will welcome them to come up here. And part of it is direct and part of it is indirect. The indirect part is DACA, where he said anybody that's here under the age of 31 that arrived as a child, with or without knowledge, would be granted some kind of status. Well, all you have to do is apply online, and there's no safeguards or checks for it. Well, pretty soon that gets back to the home country.
And the numbers are increasing. Do you have any estimate, because we know they're whitewashing the numbers, on how big the influx is? We're seeing in the Tucson sector 137,000 in just a few months, according to the sheriff there. I mean, clearly these numbers are much bigger. And how big will the next wave be?
Well, predictions are predictions. They suspected that this first wave would be 65,000, which is evidenced by the fact in January they let a contract for that number of unaccompanied minors. But, Alex, what you've got to remember is that the unaccompanied minors only reflect about 17% of what's coming through.
That's right.
Okay. So we're not talking about 57,000 people. We're talking about 300,000. Only 13%, or the 57,000, is unaccompanied minors. The problem with the unaccompanied minors is we have knowledge that for about 3 years that Los Zetas and other transnational criminals have been recruiting and training these minors as young as 8 years of age in their home country to do cartel and transnational criminal work inside the United States. One of the functions is that of an assassin. And they would not be representing, paying for, and bringing these people into the United States and embedding them in their cartel organization if they were not proven assassins.
But by the way, Salon and other White House-connected groups have made jokes about this when I've talked about it and others. But it's on record in Mexico. They've got assassins as young as 12. Historically, it's well known about child soldiers. And it just shows the total yuppie ignorance of so-called liberals out there to make jokes about this. Or maybe it's worse than that. Because I don't know how they think they're going to get away with the kidnappings exploding, the crime exploding, and the Democratic Party being directly behind all this. What is their end game? Because I know you cover just facts, sir. Again, Zach Taylor, head of the National Association of Former Border Patrol Officers. But you talk about asymmetrical warfare. What is the end game? You know, you say the enemy is doing this. Well, it's the federal government seized by the globalist that is pulling it. So, A, who is the enemy? What is the master game? Where do you see it going?
Well, in politics, as in manifestations leading up to war, it's always about money and power and the interaction between the two. What we are seeing from the immigration point of view is that this has been a protracted conflict in Washington, D.C., basically open borders, basically closed borders. The open borders people want more and more illegal immigration, and Congressman Luis Gutierrez pretty well framed it the other day, this week, when he said that it is to get more people in here to vote Democrat. Well, that shows a quest for power. But we know from the way our Congress works that money is the lubricant that makes the political system run. So if they've got more power, then more money can flow to them to exercise that power. The closed borders or border security group understand the threat by diluting, or rather the attack on what makes America America. Now, let me explain that. The immigration laws are designed to principally do only two things: protect national security and public safety. National security, the basis of it, is American jobs and the American economy, because the strength of that is what makes America what is America, and the American family depends on that for their livelihood through gainful employment and the free enterprise system.
And if you undermine that with a bunch of people that are going to go on welfare and politically vote for more socialism, you have checkmated and used the voting system to basically bring in a bureaucratic dictatorship.
At least neutralize the status quo.
Yeah.
So then you go to the public safety side of it, which includes public health. And you have a situation, for instance, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, historically, I think it was last year, 86% of the warrants for first-degree murder issued in Bernalillo County were for illegal aliens. In Phoenix, Arizona, or rather Maricopa County, Phoenix, Arizona, 83% of the warrants for murder were issued to illegal aliens. So the public safety end of the threat of them just being present here is already obvious. Then you take the public health side of it. Now, this is where we should be very concerned, because the way the laws exist across the country about public health allows such things as quarantines, allows such things as legal intervention against people thought to be or showing symptoms of a certain disease. When I saw U.S. Public Health Service, Centers for Disease Control, Health and Human Services, and the United States military all involved at the border in Texas, I've never heard of that before. Nobody in my group's ever heard of that before. It's never happened. So who was really in charge? Because this became from the very beginning, what we call a controlled or a closed event. We don't know what diseases they were quarantining people for. We don't know what diseases they were diagnosing. We don't know what they did, if anything, with those people. Now, just through little bits and pieces of information, we did find out that aliens were being shipped or flown out of the Rio Grande Valley that were obviously ill, but were not medically screened. All of these things point to the ability for this to become a tremendous national disaster on epic proportions with no real knowledge of who's running the operation.
And let me just stop you there, because it sets the precedent. I'm literally getting chills. It sets the precedent that Obama and the bureaucracy and the Ford Foundation people can just order the Border Patrol to do whatever they want, violate laws, ship people wherever they want, violate quarantine laws, ship people with TB wherever they want, drug-resistant TB, Black Plague showing up, and then just keep it quiet. So they're using the crisis itself and claiming they're coming to help with the crisis as a way to circumvent the laws, shut down the Border Patrol, and basically set up a secretive national security state on the border that's actually designed to destroy national security. I mean, this is open sedition. This is rebellion. This is vandalizing the country. This is sabotage, sir. I mean, am I wrong using those terms?
Well, we have markers that indicate that something like that's likely. Now, among those, on July the 10th of this year, Jay Johnson was in front of the Appropriations Committee of the United States Senate. And he testified that none of these people would be sent to a jurisdiction, a location, a town, a county, or whatever, without prior consultation with the people affected and their elected officials. Well, that patently is not happening. And so what they did was, instead of shipping those people out so they arrive at the destination at 10 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they're arriving sometime between 10 o'clock at night and 2 o'clock in the morning where they're not being seen, and they just sort of magically appear at these locations. So obviously what Mr. Johnson says is completely contrary to what practice is. And so in watching what this particular administration is doing, it seems that more likely they're doing the opposite of what they say they are.
Well, we've confirmed it. We got this a month and a half ago, the footage of the buses coming in. They give them the vouchers, load them on the buses, send them wherever they want to go, men, women, children, it doesn't matter, women with children. And this is the Border Patrol completing the smuggling process. So overnight, they have turned the Border Patrol from the ineffective strategies they had so people could come through under Obama to now having them be the illegal alien and diseased alien importation agency, and they have them compromised, violating federal law under executive command to frustrate and to smuggle them under cover of darkness so the media doesn't see it. I mean, this is organized crime.
Well, it certainly appears that way. But let me take this another step. The Border Patrol actually, when we're talking about Texas, is they're more of collecting them as they come across the border. And
then they hand them off.
Well, they're basically responsible for doing the basic processing. So if they have someone that is obviously ill, let's say the agent catches them on the river levee south of Mission, Texas. And he looks at these people and says, maybe the guy's throwing up, or he's obviously feverish, or the female or the child or whatever. And he calls for transport, and he says, this one's going to need a medical mask. Well, obviously that person's ill. And the agent is telling whoever's coming to pick them up to take them to be processed that they need to take precautions before they take custody of this person to transport.
But instead, they're loaded on a bus and sent wherever they want to go. So to be clear, the Border Patrol isn't itself involved, and I agree, in the criminal conspiracy, but they're handing the ball off to those that then commit the crime. But by us exposing this with video and documentation, now they're on notice, and so now they're informed. Of course, It's really the other way around. It's the Border Patrol and ICE that told us all this months ago and enabled us to expose the crime. So the Border Patrol is working, and I want to go to our guest and get his take on this. But briefly, Zach, I mean, to be clear, the Border Patrol is working to actually get the intel out to try to stop this criminal action. So this is just almost like a civil war going on in the government.
Well, it's actually the union representatives of the Border Patrol agents that are getting the information out. And that the agent himself, if he takes it upon himself, in circumstances regarding the condition of the aliens, they say that they're subject to criminal prosecution, which I've never heard of that. Some people in my organization say they've heard of it before, but I certainly haven't, and I was a union president at one time in McAllen, Texas.
Well, it's the persecution of whistleblowers that are exposing crime. I mean, if you're a Secret Service agent and catch Obama snorting cocaine, you have a duty to report that. But they call that treason now to report on crime. Unbelievable. I hope you can do 10, 15 minutes more with us, sir. I really appreciate your time. We've got Riding Shotgun with us, the filmmaker here, backtotheborder.com, who did the bombshell interview with you. Chris Burgard, other comments listening to this that you'd like to make, or other points or questions you think we should ask of Mr. Taylor here today?
I think that, and Zach, please tell me if I'm wrong, but I think America needs to understand the pressure the rank and file Border Patrol agents are being put under. These men and women are the front line of defense, and their ability to do their job, from my perspective, in the last 9 years has been seriously degraded. Their training's been shortened. Their language skills, what they've been taught, that training's been degraded.
Isn't that meant to demoralize them and break a good agency?
Well, I don't know what it's meant to do, but it's working. The morale on the Border Patrol is not good. And why, and Zach may have more details on this, but from the folks I interviewed, why are Border Patrol agents in the Tucson sector, the most heavily trafficked sector on the border, why are they facing an ammunition shortage for practice rounds while DHS is buying up record numbers of ammunition? To me, that's just a disconnect.
You're right. It's over 2 billion rounds now. Mr. Taylor?
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing is that it's not a recent event. It started sometime in 2013 procurement cycle, and it's predicted or it's been reported to the agents here locally that it's going to extend into FY 2016. So we're talking about 3 years where they're not going to have the normal amount of ammunition. That can't be a coincidence. And it only affects Tucson sector. So what are they expecting to happen in Tucson sector that they want these people to be low on ammunition for? And traditionally, the Tucson sector is the busiest sector in the Border Patrol until this recent surge in the Rio Grande Valley. So all of this looks like it's laying the groundwork for some more things to happen.
Oh, yeah, Obama will probably make the Border Patrol turn their guns in next. I mean, sky's the limit. Why not? This is Alex Jones for InfoWarsLife.com. The latest in preparedness is now here. An electrically stabilized colloidal silver solution that can be added to both your home cabinet and preparedness pack alike. Concentrated to 30 parts per million in what has been dubbed the survival silver solution. The new InfoWars Life Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver is the answer for you and your family. And it's entirely free of toxic artificial additives that are loaded into many products. The InfoWars Life Silver Bullet Silver is so powerful that it is concentrated into a 2-ounce bottle and is not recommended for extended continual use. This is not a low-grade formula. We are working with one of the top laboratory manufacturers in the United States to bring you the best form of colloidal silver using electrical processes within a base of deionized water for your preparedness storage or your home kitchen. Purchase your bottle of InfoWarsLife.com Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver today and find other amazing supplements at InfoWarsLife.com. Chairman and border security expert, the National Association of Former Border Patrol Officers. It has a call coming in the next 10 minutes, so you may have to drop out any time. Quite frankly, Chris, who's the filmmaker, Burgard, is probably asking more important questions than I am. He just brought up a great point about the Border Patrol earlier. Other points, Chris, that you think we should raise for Mr. Taylor, or Mr. Taylor, other points that you think are central for the audience out there to know?
ancillary is the administrative interference with the Border Patrol job that's been going on for about 6 years now. That it's very real. They're messing with their pay. They're messing with how they do their job. They're withholding resources from, just a litany of things. Running
stings on them for crooked toenails that cost millions of dollars?
Not so much that. It's like when it's 114 degrees in the desert and they only give them air assets during the daytime. Well, when are the people going to cross? They're going to cross at nighttime. At no time does the Border Patrol need air assets more than in the dark.
It's sabotage.
Well, what it is it's administrative interference with the mission. In other words, who's going to cross at 114 degrees in broad daylight? They're not. They're going to wait till dark. So they should put those birds up at sundark, not wristwatch dark.
That'd be like not having police helicopters over L.A. at night.
Exactly. So the assets should not be focused in the daytime. It should be focused at night. It's just the litany of the whole thing, like someone in Washington saying, oh, well, you need to go and be over in grid so-and-so tonight and stay there. Well, the agent on the ground knows that Border Patrol is a reactive organization. We don't do anything until they cross the border. So if he sends him, say, to grid 15, and the sensors and the telephone calls are coming out of grid 13, but he's been ordered to stay in 15, that's going to be a situation where nothing happened there, even though they had telephone calls and sensors go off because they weren't checked. So what happens is maybe 400 got away in grid 13, but there's no record of it.
Well, bottom line, sir, you know about the border. You're an expert on that. I know about who's given the political money, and I live here in Austin. The Mexican mafia has basically invested a lot of their money into films, into infrastructure, into everything, and they're giving money to the Democratic Party. And the word I've gotten from high-level people in the DEA...
Go, Alex.
I understand you got to go. Thank you so much. The word is that what they're doing here, and I want to come back and get our other guest take on this and let him go, Chris Burgard, is that they are basically telling the Border Patrol, go here, go there, so the packages can come across. And the cartel money has gotten so powerful now that it's actually influencing and infiltrating the government. And there's so much money off exploiting these immigrants, so much money off putting them on welfare and making them give money back to organized crime. I mean, it is just incredible. We're going to break in 1 minute, Chris, but I know you've just been covering the border for 9 years, but I've been watching the politics on it. Any comments on what I just said?
Well, in order for a criminal organization to be successful, you need to have political cover. So everything you're saying raises a lot of red flags with me. And going back to what Zach just said, it's not just helicopters. When an intelligence officer in the Border Patrol has his work phone taken away from him, how is he supposed to work as confidential informants? How is he supposed to do his job and know what's coming across the border? These things are happening today.
I want to hear about that from me. I'm going to give you the floor for about 10 minutes when we come back. Then we're going to phone calls. Chris, thank you so much. BackToTheBorder.com, BackToTheBorder.com. And all of you out there, when it comes out, can help put it in theaters locally, help show it to your Congress people.
City of Austin tap water versus filtered City of Austin tap water.
I can taste dirt in it.
God knows what's in this.
This has an aftertaste.
Tastes like Austin water? Yeah, it does. Ugh.
These people just sampled City of Austin tap water straight from the faucet. Next, we had them try a sample of tap water filtered through the ProPure G2.0 filtration system.
High quality H2O.
That one is better.
Tastes like nothing.
Yep, I know what good water tastes like. It's good water.
Most tap water contains added substances like fluoride, chlorine, Monsanto's deadly pesticide, glyphosate, and many others. Studies prove that these substances are linked to an assortment of major health issues, including tooth decay, lowered IQ, and even cancer.
It tastes like you're drinking out of the lake when you're drinking tap water.
Yeah, it has that processed flavor to it.
The ProPure G2.0 filtration system removes these deadly substances and many more, leaving only fresh-tasting, deliciously clean water.
Okay, this is very tasty.
It's good water.
Refreshing.
It's good.
Go to InfoWarsStore.com today. Use promo code WATER and save 10% off your ProPure purchase. Again, that's InfoWarsStore.com or call 1-888-253-3139.